Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm going to switch over to my presentation now, and it's a possibility that you may have come to the YouTube channel, and unfortunately, I'm having a few technical difficulties with YouTube and Google Chrome. I'm going to have to readjust and do this now on GoToWebinar. And so my apologies about that. My power is going in and out tonight. And in fact, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this entire webinar. So I'm going to do the best that I can. I'm going to try to get through everything that I can. And it was my intention to do mostly a setup process, or at least pick it up from the Ultimate PLR Setup. And so what I want to do is I'm going to kind of briefly recap some of the high points of the setup, and I do want to kind of close 2018 on what I believe to be a positive note. So let's go ahead and jump in here. So the Ultimate PLR Setup was really about setting up your funnel. I'm not going to go through the entire process right here. Let's see if we can see, some of my pictures are missing here. Well, we're just having all kinds of technical difficulties here today. Okay, so let's see if we can just kind of get this open again. All right. Sorry about that, folks. Boy, it's been quite a day. So let's go ahead and go through this. Basically, in the Ultimate PLR Setup, if we pick it up from taking a PLR product and then adding in your buy link. So you would be at this point where you have a PLR product. If you're just going to use it right out, and there's generally going to be an images button where your buy button is. And so basically, in our typical setup, what we would do is we would replace this button, or we'd link this button to our PayPal button, right? And remember, we'd go inside of PayPal, using their merchant services. We create a button. We then put in the details of that button. We would then make sure that inside of that button, what we'd be doing is we would be taking the delivery URL and placing it in this dialog box. So we would be placing our thank you page or our upsell in this box that's being pointed at. So for example, if you're going to use a upsell, well, then the upsell page would go here. If you're not going to use an upsell and you're just going to deliver a product, your product thank you page would go there. And then PayPal would give you a button code, right? They would give you a button code. And then you would take that button code and you would place it inside of Dreamweaver. And one of the ways that you do that inside of Dreamweaver is you go to the button, you get the properties, and you can place that link inside of the link area of the properties for the button. And that's a good way of making sure that when you actually link up the button, it actually gets the actual link. And I'm going to tell you why this is important here in a minute. You want people to be taken from the button when they click it to the checkout process, right? Now, we would then save the entire document, right? We save the entire HTML page. You would then, of course, open the thank you page and the thank you in your HTML editor. You would load up the file that you're going to deliver. You're going to link to that file, and then you're going to place the link to that file inside of your download link. And you would do the same thing. You would link to the image, right? So you would link to the image. So once again, you'd go to the properties, and then you link to that button, right? You link to that document from the button, right? So that's pretty much there. So then, of course, you're going to save that file, and then you're going to upload everything. So you're going to upload the index file. You're also going to upload the thank you page. And then, of course, you'd have everything that you need in order to display the page. You can actually display, any PLR product inside of a subdirectory. That way you can have all of your products on one domain, so you don't have to get a new domain for every product. What you're going to do is you're going to use one brand, one domain, and one set of subdirectories. You're going to put that product inside of the subdirectory, right? So then what you're going to do is when the customer hits the button, they're going to be taken to PayPal so they can check out, right? And then, of course, once they get taken there, they're going to be taken to your thank you page, and then they're going to download the product through your download link. Okay, and of course, that thank you page is going to be linked to your directory. Right now, one of the things that we've gone over in the last couple of days is that you and I can actually also place in there a Bitcoin link, right? And one of the ways that we do that is we can actually create a link, and we did this inside of the Bitcoin videos, right? And you can go to a site called Rocketer. Now, there are a couple of places that are probably going to be more familiar to us as internet marketers. Of course, we're going to kind of upload, or we're going to log into Rocketer. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a product inside of Rocketer. Right now, I don't have time to go through the Bitcoin connection process. You can connect your Bitcoin account to Rocketer. And when you actually create the file, what you're going to do is you're going to create something like a product with a download file, right? You're going to give that product a title, and we're going to call this Weekend Q&A product. We could give it a description. Now, for the sake of time, I'm not going to give it a description. I'm just going to put that description here. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to go to the next area, right? And of course, we're going to deliver a file. Now, what you can do when you deliver that file is you can actually deliver a file that's going to have the actual URL, right? So the file is going to have the URL where your thank you page is going to be, but you need to deliver this file inside of Rocketer, right? So we're going to go and grab a file, right? In this case, we're just going to grab any PDF that we see. Right? And then we're going to just go next. They're going to set the price. Now, if you're going to use Rocketer and you want to be able to take Bitcoin, you want to have already set up your Bitcoin button, right? And you're going to set up Bitcoin, you go through a process. And again, I really went over that through the videos that I did as a bonus for Aurelius's PLR. But you can if you have those videos, that'll show you how to set up Bitcoin, right? So we're going to click Bitcoin here, and we're going to go next. Right now, what you have here is you have your after email message, and this is actually going to be sent out by Rocketer. So one of the things that you can do inside of this email is it's going to tell you that you can download the file here. But what we can do is we can actually then give them a thank you page. Also go to this page to get all content. And then we're going to put our URL for our thank you page in there. Right? I guess that would be technically .html. We can do all the social sharing. Now, there are some additional aspects of this. We can actually make it so that our affiliates can promote this product, right? We can determine what we're going to give affiliates at 50%. And then we can then add the product, right? So now our product is there, right? Weekend Q&A product. And so now what we want to do is we want to take a look at the product and we want to manage it, right? We want to manage it. And so we want to manage the file links, right? And we're going to go to the product embed generator, actually. And what we're going to see here is that we can take this product and we can decide, okay, we're going to take the weekend Q&A product, and we're going to create a buy now button, or we can create a download now button. Now, there's a way inside of Rocketer to create your own button, but what we're going to do is we're just going to use the one that they have. We'll maybe change the color here. We'll widen that out. Okay, you'll see the color will change there. So now what we have here is we have this embed code, right? So this is the embed code that we're actually going to use, and we're actually going to take that code and we're going to replace the entire button inside of our PLR product, right? So I would then copy this. I would then take this code, and in the case of any HTML code, I'm just going to show you how to do this inside of WordPress. You would actually do this inside of your PLR file, right? So if I go here, I'm going to go to all the pages, and then what we're going to do is we're going to add a new page here, and I'm only doing this so that I can show you how to create this button. So I'm going to center it. I'm going to put the code in. I'm going to put the back code in. Then we're going to hit publish. And we'll give it a title, just for the sake of logistics. I'm going to just write in here Bitcoin. Right, then if I go to this page, what you're going to see here is that there is your Bitcoin button. So you can add that button to any of your products or services. And again, I went over this in detail inside of the Bitcoin videos, and you can get that when you pick up Aurelius's PLR. So then the customer is going to click that button. What they can do then is they can click the buy now button. They can decide to buy in Bitcoin, right? They're going to put their name and address in here. Right, and then what we can do is they can actually then pay Bitcoin from their wallet. They can scan their QR code from your checkout page. And if you understand what just happened, basically what we've done is we've added a Bitcoin button to the actual process where we have our PLR, right? So again, we went over that process in detail inside of the videos, but that is a brief way for you to be able to offer Bitcoin. Okay, I want to talk briefly about what you're trying to do with your PLR as we kind of close out the year. And again, this is one of the things that we went over in Extreme Business Makeover, session 1. I'm not going to have time to do everything, but I do want to kind of touch on a few things here. When what you're trying to do with PLR. So why do you buy PLR? Why do you buy something where someone's already done the research? And part of the process is, yeah, you want to be able to sell it and make money, but basically what you're trying to do, even with the sales that you make, is you're trying to attract the people that are attracted to you. You're trying to attract your fans. Right? You want to attract the people that are basically going to be wanting to hear more from you. And so in order to do that, of course, what you and I are trying to do is we're trying to recreate solutions or goals that your fans absolutely love. They absolutely adore the solutions you're creating, right? We want to satisfy your fans. So in other words, you don't have to try to satisfy everybody. And you can't get distressed if someone else is building an audience and it looks like they're in your niche and it looks like everybody loves them. The fact of the matter is the market is huge. And there are people that you're gonna resonate with that don't resonate with other people, right? In other words, once you start doing training and once you start creating products, what's going to happen is people are going to buy who are sort of attracted to you for some reason, right? They're going to buy a second and third time because they like the way you do it. And it doesn't matter if someone else has let's say a YouTube strategy product and you've got one too. Maybe the way you present it, maybe it is your experience. right? That attracts the people that buy from you. Maybe it is the way you teach it, right? That attracts the people that buy from you. Maybe it is your, the fact that you did a good job in a copy and they feel a kindred spirit with you, right? They understand your why. Your why is the same as theirs. In other words, the reason you created the product is the reason why they bought the product, right? So you connect with them. And so you're trying to find those people. You're trying to satisfy those people. You don't have to satisfy everybody else's fans. You don't have to satisfy everybody. You're trying to satisfy the people that you resonate with. And part of the process that you and I are going through day in and day out in internet marketing is we're trying to find our fans. You're trying to find your fans. You're going to have to get some feedback, right? When you produce something, you're going to have to produce consistently, because one of the things that I think it's someplace in our minds as information marketers is that we ought to be able to hit this big home run. And that's true. Sometimes you are going to hit a big home run. But typically what you're really talking about doing is developing some consistency and developing a product line. You want to give generously. So in other words, you should be the one getting cheated from your product. And I don't mean that. I don't mean that. I don't mean that literally. What I do mean is that you need to be on the side of the equation where you've given away more value than you got for money back, right? You gave way more value. And the other thing is that, what we're trying to do with PLR is we don't want to confuse the vehicle with the destination. What do I mean by that? Live streaming, right? Facebook Live, that's a medium, right? That's a vehicle. It's not necessarily the destination. So you might feel like, well, I got to start doing Facebook Lives. Maybe you do, right? Maybe it's a vehicle. It's a vehicle for you to satisfy your fans if that is what they want, right? If that's where they want to hear from you. I mean, don't feel like you've got to do it just because everybody says you got to do it, right? You do it because the people that you're trying to reach, you're going to resonate with them there. Right. And so basically, your destination is to try to find your true fan, right? The people that want the way you do it. They want what you have. They want what you offer. That is what you and I have to be able to do. And the market is big enough for all of us to do that. But the problem is, if there's a problem at all, I'm not saying it's a problem, but the thing is, we've got to be consistent enough to continue to put our lines in the water until we find them. Right. And one of the ways that you do that is you continue to create different things until someone kind of gets what you're doing, and they say, you know what, I really like this, and I like this one too, and I like your third one too. Right. So what happens in that case is you start to figure out, well, oh, okay, well, this is what the market wants from me. Right. It doesn't mean that the market doesn't want, it's what the market wants from you. And again, it could be any number of things that you bring to the table that someone else does not in a particular niche. Now, the other thing is that vehicle is a video is a vehicle to get fans to stick to you, right? It's a vehicle to get fans to stick to you, right? So basically, what are you trying to do? When you're doing, whether it's Facebook Live, YouTube Live, content marketing, you're trying to get your fans to stick. Right. And this is for people who are on your subscriber list. It's for people who are not on your subscriber list. The point is that you've got to get them to stick. And one of the ways you do that is you figure out what it is they're trying to do, and you're going to help them do that. And then you're gonna make them your focus. Right. You're going to make them your focus. Now, again, when it comes to reaching the people that resonate with you, if something else works better, you need to use it, right? So again, don't feel like you got to be married to YouTube Live, or you got to be married to even Facebook. Right? You don't have to be married to Facebook if your people aren't there, right? If the people who are buying from you, they hang out on Facebook, then yeah, by all means, develop a Facebook strategy. But if that is not the primary place where you're going to find them, right? You do not have to develop a strategy specifically for Facebook. Right? If something else works best, if something else works better than what you're doing, use that. Okay, one of the things that you and I are going to have to do is we're going to have to quantify what we want. And that's really what we talked about here in the first session in Extreme Business Makeover. The fact that finding 1,000 true fans, the people who are going to spend at least $100 from you in the calendar year, I mean, that's your baseline, right? And $100,000 is your baseline. What you're trying to do is to find 1,000 people who will spend $100 with you. And that doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like something that in some ways may be super easy, but at the same time though it's doable, right? It's quantifiable. You can understand that number. I mean, if you got one customer every day for the next 3 years, you'd be at that point. I mean, you don't want to take that long, but you could be at that point, right? So basically, when we start talking about $100,000 for a baseline, we have to be able to ask the question, especially as an information marketer, right? Especially as an information marketer, whatever our number is, whatever the number that we're trying to set for a goal, it needs to help us to attend all of the conferences in our niche, all of them, right? Would that safely do it? Would that allow us to be off of work? Would that allow us to do the traveling? We have to factor that number in because that is how you develop in a niche, and that's how you stay on top, right? That's how you stay, most importantly. Can you attend all the conferences in your niche? Can you buy all the education you need for your niche, right? Do you have to buy training, right? Do you have to buy Udemy courses? Do you have to buy Adobe courses? Do you have to buy, whatever you have to buy? Can you buy all of that? Right? Can you buy all of that and hit your number? Whatever that number is, you've got to add that number into whatever your baseline is. So if $100,000 is what you need to live on, you gotta factor in more so you can attend all the conferences. You gotta factor in more so you can buy all the education. Can you support your lifestyle without having to stop working on your business? Right. So in other words, if you've got to work 24 hours a day to get $100,000, your number needs to be higher. Right. You might need to have your number at $125,000, $130,000 if $100,000 does not support your lifestyle, right? Without you stopping working. Right. You cannot work 24 hours a day, believe it or not. And how do I know that? I've tried. You can't do it. And so what you want, and again, I mean, I understand, all the discussion about grinding and all that other stuff, and it's cool, right? I mean, whatever you want to call it. I think, most, if you're listening to this, I'm assuming you're probably already a hard worker, right? So I'm not going to preach to you about that, right? I'm pretty sure you're probably conscientious in what you do, whether or not you work full time and you do internet marketing part time or you do internet marketing full time. I'm assuming, right? I'm assuming that if you come to the stuff that Laurel and I do, you're not interested in being entertained, right? Because we're not all that entertaining. We try to give you what we think is the best information. So I already know about you just by the fact that you're listening, just by the fact that you're watching. And you are probably going to have to factor in more if $100,000 doesn't do it for you, if you can't stop working right now. Can you generate this kind of income again without having to work 24/7? I just went over that. Make adjustments and factor in what your number is going to be, right? If you're talking about a monetary goal, you got to break that number down to monthly and then daily. But you've got to start with a baseline. And please, I made this mistake. I said, well, I want to be at $500,000, which is great, right? But again, the first level goal is, well, what do I need to do all the stuff I need to do for my business so I don't have to work all the time, right? And if you obviously if you want to quit your job, factor in what that number is. Break it down to a daily number, right? Make adjustments. Be clear about that number. I wouldn't even call this a goal. If it worked for you to pin it to your computer, but you've got to hear it said over and over again. I'm not talking about something magical and mystical about the brain. I'm just saying you have to hear yourself, and you got to really kind of get this number in your brain, so you'll start to focus on how you need to get it and start asking yourself the right questions. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to look at the funnels in your niche, right? At the product level. Going to have to determine what you're going to need to buy for your business. Again, I'm doing this at the year end because it's pretty important. We all tend to fall into this vicious cycle. We work on projects. We hit some kind of roadblock because we don't have what we need, right? We don't have it. We barely finish the product. It doesn't make as much as we thought we should. We get discouraged. We take a break, and then we buy something new and shiny. That's generally the cycle, the vicious cycle. It can be a tool, a strategy. We never address the underlying issue of what we really need, right? And so what you got to do, I think in 2018, at the very beginning, if you need to, is just break the cycle. If you need a membership script, and the membership script is more than you have, you're going to have to save and get it, right? And you're going to have to save and get it probably at the expense of maybe getting another business opportunity, right? And so one of the things, if You know, if you're not gonna get it at launch pricing, don't worry about that. It's almost better for you to get it at a higher price than for you to get it and have it sitting. And if it's gonna keep you from, if it's gonna keep you from focusing on finishing what you're doing, then getting it when you can afford it is better. Right. And one of the things I've always kind of thought about is, getting books from the library versus getting books from the bookstore. Right. Because most of us kind of feel like, well, you know what, I'll just get it when, it's cheap or it's free. And what ends up happening is we end up having a library, right? We end up having a bunch of stuff that's kind of sitting in our home and it's all cool. But there's something different about going to the bookstore and buying something, even if it's a $2 or $3 or $4 book. We're more apt to read that book if we bought it. Right. So don't really feel like you got to get everything free. You got to get everything, free and on YouTube. That's not the point. The point is finishing things. And the point isn't accumulating things. The point is getting it when you need it, even if you have to get it off sale. Um, what you need to buy plus what you want is your number. Determining what the average price product is for a product like yours. Determining how many front end sales it's going to take you to get your number. Right? How many sales per month will it take you at your average price to get what you want? Right? Once you determine your number, factor in how many sales every single day is it going to take for you to get that number? How many sales per month is it going to get for that number? You say, well, how would I know how many sales I need? Well, you're going to take the average sale number from products like yours. Right? Go look at JVZoo, go look at Warrior Plus. It's all there. Find out, what an average product sells for in terms of pricing, and then that's going to be your baseline. You're going to take your baseline number, you're going to divide it by that number, and that's going to tell you how many sales you need. So you should know on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, how many sales you need to get to your number. Right? What's your number? Quantifying this. Right? If I want to make $10,000 a year, even if I say I want to make $500 a month extra monthly, how many sales is that going to take? How much money is that going to take on a daily basis? How many sales is it going to take? You should know that based on your number. You should be able to see if you went out and launched, how many launches is it going to take every month? The number of launches that you do, a number of products you release is not necessarily always going to be based on, how many you figure out you can do safely. It's really going to be determined by what you determine your goal is, right? And what you're trying to do. Understanding, right? What kind of conversion rates do these products typically have, right? In the affiliate networks, you should know that because the information is all there, right? If you look at a product like the one you're trying to release or the product line you have, right? How well do they tend to convert over time? That's how much of a conversion you can generally expect, right? For that kind of product. Again, maybe you might outperform, maybe you might underperform, but generally you can probably expect that you're going to get an outcome that's going to be similar for a product that's like that. And you can go further and figure out how many affiliates they have and how many visitors are you going to need to your site in order to get those people, right? How many visitors are you going to need in order to get to your number based on the average conversion, right? You can determine some of this. It's scientific. You can actually look at some of the math and determine what you're going to get because internet marketing is really going to be all about overcoming obstacles. And again, I went over all this in Extreme Business Makeover, so I'm going to fly through this. I'm not going to go through everything. Nobody can tell you what your personal obstacles are going to be. Yours are not going to be mine. Mine are not going to be yours. You're going to face at least one immovable obstacle in trying to get to your number, right? At least one. Right. And I'd be surprised if you don't hit one every day. And in some of those cases, guess what? You're not going to be able to go to YouTube and tell you what to do. Right. Some things are going to be determined by your own determination. And some things are going to work for you because you figure out a workaround that works for you. And it might not work for everybody else, but you're going to figure out a workaround. Some things are going to work because you developed some kind of really cool partnership. Right? Some things are going to work for you because you attended some event, you met somebody that really, you just hit it off with that person. And again, all your internet marketing is going to be about is going to be overcoming obstacles, right? Overcoming obstacles. It's going to be more than likely some kind of combination of all of these things, right? Now, here's the deal, right? With all of these things, what you and I have to do is have to be careful not to bail on our projects, not to bail on internet marketing, not to bail on what we're trying to do before, for something else before we're finished, right? That is really that's really probably one of the keys to kind of understanding any of this, is not, again, just not bailing on something before we actually get there, right? Okay, so that's about it here for tonight. Once again, if you want to see that entire process for the Bitcoin videos and graphics, you can see that at superfastactionbonus.com/Aurelius T, right? And you can also go to Extreme Business Makeover if you want to get the training. We've done 15 sessions. We're going to do 52, right? You can do that at superfastactionbonus.com/new XBT, right? You can get that there, right? So once again, superfastactionbonus.com/release T, and then superfastactionbonus.com/new XBT. And everybody, so thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you all. Hope that this has been helpful for you. Have a great night and a pleasant tomorrow. Take care.